information. It's so plain to see that the only reason the plant is still operating is that the NRC is in the pocket of the industry. It's unconscionable that Pilgrim is still running. Some of you, at least, must have consciences, if not all of you. Quite simply, it's time to do what's right, what is courageous, and shut this plant down. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Hamo Grimes, and I do work at Pilgrim. I'm married. I do live in South Plymouth. I came to Entergy. I came to Pilgrim Station about 12 years ago. I was previously employed. I was employed by Entergy at one of the plants in the South. I'm here to tell you that it's not one day myself and my fellow co-workers come to work with operating the plant with safety as the number one and first goal. We did have a tough year. As was stated earlier, we do have a new management team within the last year, and in my new role, I am an independent assessor and oversight, and my job is every day is to tell those guys when they're out of process and when they need to start paying attention, so that I am an independent oversight individual within the company can tell them and make sure that they understand the pitfalls that are lying ahead, so we can go ahead and take care of those issues before they get to the stage that we are discussing here. So with that renewed dedication, we do pledge that we would go forward and make sure that we do attain the goals that we have, and make sure that we operate this plant the best and become the leader in the industry. Thank you.
Mr. Lambert?
My name is James Lambert. I'm a resident of Duxbury. I'd first like to, unfortunately, correct a statement that was made a few moments ago that nuclear power plant killed anyone. Unfortunately, that's wrong. My father designed a power plant, which is my introduction to nuclear power, that went online in April of 1957. In 1961, the second or third generation of that plant did kill people in Idaho. So I'm not talking about what relate to cancers, TMI, or anything else. The people tend to forget that accidents happen, and the accidents in Idaho at a nuclear power plant killed people. I was interested to see a plant talk today briefly about security, and I was happy to see that the NRC thought enough about the subject to put out a paper that's out there on the table. I see all the buttons in the room that talk about the importance of being safe and being secure. And I think we are all in agreement on that. A couple of years ago, I asked a representative from the NRC at a meeting in Pilgrim, can you remember a single time in which the NRC, as a result of cost-benefit analysis, has required a safety update? And his answer was no. Looking at security, I'm afraid we're on that same path again, which becomes fairly clear if you read the paper you put out. The paper you put out talks time and time again about it'll never happen, the chances are extremely low, nothing will go wrong. If it does go wrong, it won't hurt many people. If something goes wrong, according to the Mass Attorney General, there's going to be $488 billion of damage in Massachusetts. There are going to be at least 24,000 latent cancers. And an area the size of this state is going to be uninhabitable practically forever. You're talking about what you're doing. You talk about aircraft. You talk about commercial aircraft. That's not our fear. What have you done about light planes? A small plane that takes off from Marshfield or Plymouth Airport can go right through the roof and cause the type of damages we're talking about. What are we doing about access to the site? There have been all kinds of trespassing instances. But maybe because of pressure from you, Pilgrim took steps to put up more no trespassing signs. They also put up no trespassing buoys out in the water. There's a 500-yard zone that's violated with regularity. Shortly after 9/11, my wife and I were sailing outside the 500, and I took a look at that and said, you know, when I was a cadet years and years ago, I was never a very good shot with a bazooka, but from here I couldn't miss. If you're looking at laser-guided missiles or TOWs or anything else that a real serious terrorist comes up with, they're not going to miss either. You talk in your paper about force on force. You warn energy. Tell them months in advance when that is going to take place. You put strict limits on how many people can try to attack and what they can carry and what they can do. Excuse me. I don't think a real terrorist is going to give any warning. And they're going to make their own plans, not your plans. It's time for the NRC to start doing the real things that have to be done. To recognize, yes, they're going to cost money. But if you don't spend the money or the force to have done what we all needs to be done, you're not going to provide what every worker here wants, what every person who lives here wants, which is safety and security. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to Mr. Shippey.
I'm Michael Shippey. Grew up in a small town called Vernon, Vermont. You might be familiar with it. That's the reason I'm here, because when BY was decommissioned, I had the option of staying behind, riding out a few more years, maybe, or coming here and putting my talents to use. So I opted to come here. And one thing that impressed me right off the bat, I guess because the question keeps coming up when are these changes going to be made, what I saw was immediate changes. As soon as we came in, these gentlemen asked us our opinion of, what we had to offer, going through winter storms, how we operated the plant in Vermont, and we gave some pretty frank replies. And what I noticed was, within days, those suggestions were implemented for our safety, just getting around the plant, taking care of the plant, the ownership of the plant. And these people are very safety conscious. So it's not a matter of, someday this report is going to come out. The effect is like immediate. I'm not concerned. My family is still in New Hampshire, waiting to join me when they get a chance. Sorry, I'm so nervous. But if I came from outside this industry. I came from aviation maintenance, particularly helicopters. And that's a business that's immediately not forgiving of complacency and of not being safe and aware of your surroundings. So that was something I felt like I could bring to this business. And it's been amazing. The people that work in this, people at your level, people in management, the people that I work with are phenomenal individuals, and they work as a team. And the safety is stressed continuously. So that's not something that concerns me hour to hour, day to day, week to week, year to year, because I know that we are all working together to keep this plant and all the plants operating safely. So, I grew up right across the street. My elementary school was across the street from Vermont Yankee, and it was easy to accept that my neighbors are taking care of the plant and taking care of me, and now it's my turn. My kids live within miles of the plant. It's my job to take care of them. And I have a great deal of respect for the people who are opposed to it, because we had conversations when I was a kid leaving from school. They instilled a great deal of skepticism in me of what's going on in this industry. So when I joined this, it was easy for me to see that every layer of defense that's there, from administrative level, the mechanical level, right down to individual operations, is phenomenal. And it gives me absolute assurance that this is a perfectly viable energy source for years to come. So, could go on for hours. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Shipke, close this out. Before I turn it back over to Dan to end the meeting, I just wanted two things. One, there are feedback forms outside on the table in the lobby. Please fill them out. We really do want your views. And then second of all, I would like to commend everyone in the audience for making me look good by the amount of civility you show. Clearly there's...
Did you call all the names? Because my name wasn't called, and there was something I'd like to say.
We're now at the stop clock. I should have mentioned that. We haven't gotten to all the names. We have a long list
It's
of...
10 till.
Yeah, you said 9:45.
It's now 9:47. I'm sorry we couldn't get through all the names. We'll stick around afterwards.
I waited all the time.
A lot of other individuals waited as well. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get through everyone. I tried to give a mixed view, and gave them also an order of which a lot of them they were received. We did our best to get through
I was
everyone.
here at 5:30.
We'll be glad to stick around and talk with you.
What's one or two more minutes?
All right.
First, no disrespect for my hat. I was at work, so I had my hat on all day, and to take it off would not be pleasant. I wrote a few notes, but I didn't prepare for this. I live in Chatham. My grandmother's lived in Chatham. She's 95. She's lived here since she was 16, almost 80 years. I'm 50. I've seen cancer in my neighborhood. Just a little square of, tried to count the houses. I'd say maybe 25 or 30 houses. Almost every single person in my neighborhood has had cancer. My grandmother had a double mastectomy, one 25 years ago, and then one about one 50 years ago, and one 25 years after that. My grandfather died of gum cancer. My sister, who was 41, just died 7 years ago with 3 kids from lung cancer. Mrs. O'Brien, my neighbor, had breast cancer. Timmy Smith, my best friend's mother, had brain cancer. Joan Cormier, her husband, just died of liver cancer. She has breast cancer. I just saw her yesterday. She has cancer on her nose. I'm not against the things that are safe, but the world is bad enough. We do not need to put more bad toxins into the environment. And the tritium is really of concern to me. I just heard tonight that it's gone up to 14,000 when a few years ago it was at 11,000. That means it's getting worse and not better. And how many wells are now contaminated? When I saw the report, there's one. It sounds like there's many more now. And now I hear the rain is washing it's being released in the air. So the wind blows. What about all the nuclear power plants that are to our west? It's not just about Pilgrim. It's about all of it. And it's up to you guys to do what's right for us, for your children, for your grandchildren. So please, protect us. That's all we really want. And as far as the evacuation goes, that is ridiculous. Do any of you live on Cape Cod?
My family has vacationed on Cape Cod for 130 years. I'm well aware of the Sagamore and Bourne Bridge.
Yeah. I mean, come here on 4th of July, forget it. You're not going anywhere. So, you know, you guys are really all we have, and so it's so important that you do what's right for us, because you're all we have. So thank you very much. Excuse my parents, and have a lovely day. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.